For 30 years, Healthy Starts has been making sure that babies in Allegheny County reach their first birthday. Did you know that Healthy Start not only supports the mother and child, but we are here to support fathers as well? Here at Healthy Starts, we know and appreciate that fathers play a very important, necessary role in their child's early development. We have the support fathers need to understand and engage for a healthy pregnancy as well as the early development of your child. But that starts with taking care of you. If you have a partner who is pregnant, let us support you both through this life-changing journey. Reach out.
For more information on our fatherhood programs, please contact wetalkingfatherhood@gmail.com.
Is this my daddy's production?
Hey, what's happening? Hey, y'all get ready for the We Talking Fatherhood show, hosted by Warren West, owner of I Love Life, co-hosted by LaVon Wesley, director of Project Game, Thomas Washington, president of Fathers Collaborative Council of Western PA, Melvin L., director of Coalition for Father and Families, Dante Works, owner of House of Veterans, Super Bowl champion Mike Logan, owner of Purpose Vision, and Brandon Phillips with Pittsburgh Public School Community Outreach. We talking fatherhood, we making moves. Ooh, yeah. You see us busting these moves. Yeah, right. We got a whole lot to gain and we ain't got nothing to lose. Nah. Yeah. We done all took losses, now we just get W.
Welcome to the We Talking Fatherhood show. I'm your host, Warren West. Co-hosting with me today, to my right, got Mike Logan. To my left, LaVon Wesley and Thomas Washington. Hey, today we talking about what are we doing personally to be the change? You feel me? I decided to speak on this topic because, you know, if you look at our previous shows, we've been talking about a lot of heavy stuff, you know, giving advice, giving our perspective, you know, from our different walks of life. And so I want to let the people know that beyond us talking, we have planted seeds and we are investing on all sides of fatherhood, not just speaking about what guys should be doing, but we're actually picking up the baton and we're running with it ourselves. And so if, you know, one of you guys want to jump in, Mike.
Well, for me, you know, the change begins with myself. So I'm making peace with my past, and it's hard, but you have to go back. You're not going to be perfect. That's where some of the things people be like, well, y'all talking about fatherhood, you're never going to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? Because the definition can vary, but you know what you need to do. I haven't always done what I needed to do. It's a little embarrassing. It's a little humbling, but I know that. And you got to make peace with that by accepting it, but not staying there. So now I'm improving on that. You know what I'm saying? My relationship broke down because of some mistakes that I made as well. It wasn't just my spouse making mistakes, you know what I mean? To have a disagreement is one person not agreeing with the other person about something, you know what I'm saying? So there's two sides of that. And I don't care if the other person did it wrong. You gotta start looking at yourself and saying, what did I do wrong or what didn't I do to help that situation out? So for me, the biggest thing was making peace with my past, of not being who I needed to be at that time and not really making that relationship work, you know what I'm saying? Because you can make it work if you truly, you know, put everything aside just to make it work. I didn't do that, you know what I mean? There's a lot of regrets that I had as well. I had to let go of those regrets. You gotta let go of them. I mean, I ain't saying don't, you know, go back and visit and say, okay, this is what I did, but let them go. Because there ain't nothing you can do about what's already happened. You can do things about going forward. You know what I'm saying? So all of that had to do with me and what I'm doing to be the change. And as far as my work, I mean, I'm out here being an example. You know what I mean? I'm teaching, I'm coaching, I'm mentoring, I'm using all the experiences that I've went through to be able to pass that knowledge on. You know what I mean? And not just to my kids, for them to see, for the community to see, for the world to see. We got all the eyes on us. They always talk about the black father, what he's doing, what he's not doing. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna see me out there doing that. Yeah. And again, I'm not perfect, but I'm striving to do that. That's why we have in these forums. I'm not just here to present, I'm listening as well, because each person is gonna give you a dynamic. It might not be exactly for me, but you can get something from that. And the more you see the examples of positivity being out here, and you're being around that, surrounding yourself in these circles. I'm glad you brought this together. Yeah. I know these brothers, but I don't know these brothers, but now I'm getting to know them a little more intimately, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I can see and feel and hear all the things that they're doing as a united front. It ain't just you just tackling fatherhood. We out here together, we like, bro, you got some things going on in your crib that we gonna talk about it, because I've been there. And that's how you gotta do it, man.
That's what it's about. What about you?
I'm actually excited to talk about this because I started really putting together some actual actionables when it comes to this the last month or so. So, for example, like with my program Game, the whole basis of our program and the foundation of our program is based on a growth mindset. So what we're doing is trying to, and it's one of the hardest things, is trying to change someone's mindset from having a fixed mindset of thinking that this is the way I am, this is the way it is, these are my abilities, this is what I can do, and it just is what it is, and I can't grow from that or strengthen that, to having the ultimate confidence in yourself to put forth the effort to get better and have the confidence to talk to yourself in a positive light so you can get better. So like you said, it's just a constant, no one's perfect, it's a constant working of yourself on yourself, but you got to have the confidence to do that. A lot of times why we don't work on ourselves is because we think about the work that goes into working on ourselves. And we don't think we can confidently achieve the goal that we want to achieve, which is to be this type of man. That's, fear is a big thing, but so I've been really encompassing a growth mindset when it comes to all of my relationships. And I got two things I want to share, and I'm proud of this, me and my daughter's mom, our communication wasn't always great. And a lot of that was tied into, the emotions we had from being together and the separation and things of that nature, some of the bitterness, some of the resentment, things of that nature that we had towards each other. But over these last, 5 months now, we've been communicating very well. And I almost ruined it earlier this week because of how I approached the situation. So we're on the phone talking about my daughter's birthday coming up, and she's overwhelmed because she's trying to figure out what we're going to do, and it's just okay. At the end of the day, she's always had a great birthday. I believe we do too much sometimes, because she's only 8. But this is what you want to do. And I used a term, I said, well, you let her bully you sometime. And it kind of was a trigger for her to where she went off on me. That's when I reverted and said, you know what, hold on. As she's doing that, I said, hold on. I apologize. I meant to say, we spoiled her a little bit. And explain what I meant. So it defused the situation like I've never seen before between us. And it allowed us to come to a good conclusion for what we want to do for our child's birthday. And it was for me, I was excited about that because the old me would engage in the back and forth. Because I would have thought that word wasn't that big of a deal, blah, 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 blah. But it's about just having a growth mindset and saying to myself, what part do I have in this explosion? And if it's just something as simple as choosing different words, why not do that, And that's just growth, and it's the same thing in my relationship right now with my son's mother, is the growth and understanding that, you got to check yourself sometime and reword, reapproach, reaffirm, whatever you need to do it. So, and I'm doing it because I want ultimately to have a great atmosphere within our house for which my son's growing up in and my daughter's in. And I want to make sure they understand what a good relationship and communication is supposed to look like, and that starts, like you said, with myself. So the growth mindset is something that I've been really actively putting in play. And then the other thing is, about 3 weeks ago, me and a couple friends of mine that I've known for about 16 years, I initiated a men's group. So we meet every Saturday for about 3 hours. And we sit down and talk about our week, what went well, what didn't go well within our relationship, personally, career-wise. And what we do is just provide insight to each other. It's really about holding each other accountable. We establish what type of men we want to be. They all in relationships, all got kids, So we established what type of men we wanted to be. And I made it to where we committed one day out of the week, no matter what, where we sit down and we discuss what our week has been like and provide each other with insight and knowledge that can help each other with our relationships and things of that nature. So, and we'll get to this with our guys, but I had us do a personality assessment, and we used that to see how we communicate. And then on the flip end, when it talked about our partner, try to identify how our partner communicates and how we can better now communicate with them. So just giving each other tools to be better communicators within our household and pouring into each other. So I've been very active with that as of late, and that's where I'm at, in addition to me working with the youth and trying to catch them while they're young too.
That's critical.
For myself, just a little bit of what everybody already said, but really like working on self, reflecting, doing self-assessment, seeing where some of your gaps are, doing a SWOT. I did a SWOT analysis of self, right? So this is just like your strengths, weaknesses, threats, and then opportunities. So those are things that you look at as far as yourself, like really breaking down self and seeing where your strong suits are, and then when your weaknesses or challenges are. How can you actually tweak those so they can be strengths? So really doing that SWOT analysis of self is very important, and I think that's a change for self. One, also having a better relationship spiritually. I think that really helped me a lot too. Over these last few months, we stated a few episodes ago when we were talking about spirituality. I think that's very important too, as far as a person's balance, and then looking at myself as far as being, mentally, physically, and spiritually balanced. All of those things have to be aligned, so your core as an individual is straight. So making sure those happen. And I know, like, I have a spiritual group that we sit down every Friday. We do that, like the same thing, but we look at it as in a more of a spiritual outlook, and like, our relationship with the higher power, God. So like doing that, and then every Sunday, me and my boys, we all meet Sunday. It's like Sunday Fun Day. That's what we call it. We sit down and we chop it up, and we do some of those very same things, like what's going on, how y'all been feeling. It's like a relaxed piece, but it's also that fellowship that's needed that men don't really get out to do. We usually only get out for like sporting events, like, yo, let's go, you know what I mean? We don't really get out to really talk about things that are really, really getting to us or every day to day. So it's just like, how you doing in your relationships, or how you doing, how the kids doing. Like those things is just very important to do. Also, like for change, what I've been doing as far as the organizations that I represent, the Homewood Children's Village, as well as the Fathers Collaborative Council of Western Pennsylvania. With the Homewood Children's Village, we have a program called Dad's Talk, and we really go through and work with fathers on fathering techniques, seeing how you can be, more or less working with your children at an earlier age, 0 to 8, basically. Within the school systems, and then even beyond them, but our primary focus is that. And then the Fathers Collaborative Council is a group of fatherhood programs throughout Allegheny County and Beaver County, and come together, and we do tons of things wrapped around fathering and fatherhood. So that's everything from health and wellness, education, basic need, workforce development. I think I said education. Education wrapped up. I think I said education. Everything's wrapped up to really service fathers in all, and legal too. Service fathers in a holistic way. So we are always out there trying to get information out to fathers about things that are readily available at their fingertips, so they can get them to change and maybe, you know, that's the push that they need. They might need somebody just to intervene a little bit, say, hey, yeah, we'll help you with your court case. Like, what's going on? Like, how can we help you? Child support or custody, things of that nature that we can really help and assist with. So there's, you know, a gambit of things that we really look at helping fathers change the direction that they are, trajectory that they may be going into. That might not be the best, you know, judge-free zone, and we're always just looking to help. So those are a little bit of things that we look at doing. But
listen, man, I love it. It seems like to me that all three of you guys and myself, including Dante and Brother Mel, we're leading the push, right? And so, you know, my focus just over the past few years has just been on leadership development, developing these young people into leaders. You know, as you guys know, you know, we function well in teams. You know, and in teams you got captains, you got coaches, so that just means everybody's not a leader, right? But we still got to draw the leaders out. Right. And sometimes it's just so cool to just be with all the cool guys, right? But at some point we need to be led out of the coolness into what life is really about. So that's what's dope about what we're doing here. You know, you guys started groups with your friends, doing other things, but you guys are leading the push, right? And so, you know, we need to create, or not even create because they're already there, but we need to draw those qualities out. And so a lot of what I've been doing is just working with the kids on their leadership, the self-development, knowing who they are, knowing why they're special, you know, even to the point of just answering questions on, you know, why things happen, why me, why this, why that. And I just believe being an open door and an open bridge to the youth will give them that understanding, which will allow them to really step into the leadership position. Because as you guys know, when you're in the front, you know, it's only the people beside you that can really help. You can't look back and ask for help from people behind you because they're following you. You're the one in the front. So everything in the front is brand new. Everything in the front you may have to struggle with before you get it. But you can't ask for help from the people that are looking at you for help, right? And so, you know, once we get our youth and even, you know, some of these other leaders in our city to really realize that, then we could really start really creating some long-term change. So, you know, through sports, I believe that is one of the major ways that we can have that type of effect. And you guys coach, you know. I got 2 high school coaches sitting right on both sides of me, and I'm a high school coach as well. And so let's speak on the impact of sports real quick. Like, how can we use that as the tool? And is it being, to me, it's an underrated, you are underrated, you are underrated, I am underrated. The respect level as far as what they believe a coach can do. Right? And there's a ceiling in some people's minds. So let's speak on really the opportunities that we can create through coaching and sports.
Like the ceiling part, I'm glad you said that, because I think we create the ceiling as coaches. And I'm just going off of my experience of watching other people coach and things of that nature. A lot of times we don't take how serious our position is as serious as we need to. So what I'm saying is how you carry yourself as a coach. What expectations do you put on your players as a coach? Not just on the field, off the field, personally, academically, and things of that nature. So, you know, I think that ceiling is there.
But why does that even matter?
It matters because when you're coaching, your expectations and the ceilings that you have are going to reflect the players that you coach. You feel me? So put it like this. If all I really care about is football, I'm not a good coach, yo. Because all I care about is your eligibility during the season. All I care about is what you know about on the field. I'm not caring about how you carrying yourself off the field and outside of here. I'm probably enabling some of the actions that you may have that you don't need to have off the field, in the classroom, at home, or whatever. So for me, and that's why I love coaching, is my thing is this. The standard is here on everything, dog. It ain't gonna be just on the field. I need you to be a dog on the field, but I also need you to be a dog off the field. When I say a dog off the field, is how do you carry yourself, how you present yourself. Because within the first 8 seconds of someone seeing you, they already decided on what type of person they think you are. You feel me? So you're already fighting an implicit bias as soon as you step to wherever you step into. So who are you for real, and who do you want people to know you to be? So as a coach, you have, think about it, especially if we talk about midget leagues and things of that nature, you are the dad a lot of the times. Most of these kids don't even have their dads in their lives on a consistent basis. So you're the number one influence. So if you come into the game and you function in a certain way, you talk in a certain way to these players, all you doing is reinforcing or creating what you have and you into these kids here. Yeah. So for me, at the end of the day, dog, it's bigger than just football. You as a coach got to understand you really, 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 really are above, in some instances, teachers and parents, yo. Sure. Because at the end of the day, if a teacher the teacher comes to the coaches, right?
For sure.
The parents come to the coaches, right? Right. Because in a lot of instances, if we talking about people that immerse themselves with football, unfortunately, if we in our communities, when the socioeconomic situation may be low, the father may not be around. So you're the male figure, yo. I'm looking to whoever, you the cool guy to me. You the one who's giving out instruction and telling me why I need to do this and how it benefits me and things of that nature. So to me, that's unfortunate. It's all based on circumstances and situations. And think about it, if I drop my kid off to you, I'm trusting in you that you're an extension of who I am. So even if the dad is there, you still sometimes up there with the parent because you're an extension of the parent. So whatever you're teaching and however you function, your kids are going to function that way. So to me, as a coach, man, dog, you on principal status, parental status on all those levels for some of these kids because you are everything to them.
So are we underutilizing?
For sure. In the schools, for sure.
The coaches in the schools.
Absolutely.
and even, you know, because some people are going to say, well, all youth coaches, all coaches shouldn't be in the school. I would agree.
But this is what goes back to
But the qualified ones should be.
But with that being said, why are you a youth coach if you can't even be trusted to be in the school? I need you to be able to function
let's talk about the records and the different little stuff like
that.
You could coach.
That's cool. But what I'm saying with being in the school is having communication with teachers and counselors. My record has nothing to do with communication with
them.
But
you know, like I know in the neighborhood, on the neighborhood teams, everybody ain't like that. Like per team, there's about 7, 8 coaches, and maybe only 2 of them coaches can get into schools, which means that's okay.
I guess,
because everybody
can. Ceiling though to me,
but it's not because now you can teach
him that way.
But now you can teach, cause like, look, man, you gotta raise your level. So now I need you to come into schools because now you're coaching position. Cool. Yeah, it's all about elevating.
Absolutely.
Because you're not gonna. But
you're making the assumption. But if we're being realistic, if we're talking about a midget league level, you're making the assumption that these coaches that are able to function in those environments are given a game and holding their coaches accountable to have to eventually they don't. Let's be real.
So that's what I'm saying. Are we dropping the ball? I mean,
absolutely.
For me, I just see that as a foundational piece where, man, if we do it right, we make all this stuff work for us. Man, we BSing. Like, it's too much about uniforms and winning Super Bowls and playing all year round when we could use these same strategies to do all that stuff, but at the same time create very, very great students, right? To create a love for learning, to do other things that you need in the game. It ain't like they're not going to need it, because bottom line is, I don't care how many touchdowns you have in youth football. If you ain't got the grades, bro, you're not playing. Right. It doesn't matter. So to me, we're setting a lot of kids up by living off the hype living off of the sand cleats and the just the over the top is over the top to me. Celebrations now, yeah, and this is why for me, and I'm coaching on a high school level, and a lot of kids ain't got that dog work ethic, right? Every team ain't stacked, right? You know a dog when you see him, and your team don't got to be stacked in order for you to be a dog, right? The best players you get, they on some of the weakest teams, but they can hold their own. And for me, I'm just saying to me, it's we're not utilizing that bottom ground to really create something strong and tangible. And my kids was them dudes in youth football, so I know I seen it. But personally,
so,
you feel me?
So just to add to that though, like we use this word student athlete so much, right? Like, but I don't believe student athlete is the right term, because a lot of athletes aren't students first, right? They have to. So we stress sports a lot, right? But we don't stress academics, right? Like academics should
stress
be
sports too. Right?
Yeah,
College is look up Penn State. It's gonna be their logo of the football team.
They do, but within
You know what I'm saying?
the local communities, though, the number one thing is about winning and about the kids that, or the all-star. Let's load the squad. Let's win all the championships. But this kid can't read, right? So it's like, how do we stress the academic aspect before the sport aspect? Even though the sport aspect is very important, the academic is really important, because that's a lifelong
They can push it
factor.
at the same time.
They can, but there's not a lot of systems set up for that though. Right?
Yeah,
Like you got,
people.
yeah, you do. But I'm just saying. But look, so like Bob Jones, the Gators, right? He has his own little ecosystem up there. He got his tutoring program after school, all of that great stuff. Why isn't that's not in all of the like midget leagues? You know what I mean? Like, why isn't it that set up everywhere?
The people.
Yeah.
You got Mike Gay, you got Garth, I know these guys. So with that being said, it's your unit that you put together. So if I put together a unit of coaches, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to anyone, but let's say I was super nice in midgets, and that's my claim to fame. Academically, I ain't do nothing, I ain't go to college and play ball, I might have went to college, maybe dropped out, whatever the case may be. I'm stressing to them all the things that was important to me at that time if I didn't learn my lesson. And we can't assume that everybody learned their lesson through experience. So if I'm putting together a staff of coaches to where the number one thing to us is, don't get me wrong, winning is right here too. But winning, bro, I'm not even going to be thinking about the academics, bro. I'm not even think about it. Our parents are getting in fights at a football game over a missed call, but you ain't gonna fight this teacher that's trying to put your kid in special ed and all that stuff like that, dog. But you gonna fight this? So it's like our priorities is messed up because of our fears. And to me, it goes back to a growth mindset. In our communities, we scared academically of some things because your mom might not have been good in school, your dad might not have. Now they put the fear that, you know, heard about this as trickle-down effect. So what do we rely on for some of us? Our physical abilities is easy money for me. I don't got to think about it. It's natural for me. I don't got to think about it. When it comes to the academics, even as a coach, to be a good coach, most of these coaches don't even know what they're doing because you got to put work into this stuff, bruh. You don't even know what a 3 technique is, a 0 technique, but you cussing him out right now. Like, what are you doing? But it's do you want to put the work in, my G? The work ain't just all about the physical, it's about the mental on the coaching and kid side. So it's priorities and getting past that fear of, hey, we got to put the work in, like you said. We got tutoring programs, and let's be real. If we hold our kids to a certain standard and demand it, they going to get this.
They going to get it.
Every time.
The standard we raise on the field, they always meet it.
If you told the whole community, yo, this is the GPA, it is what it is. Yeah, so we're done, we're quitting. Cool. Do you, my G?
Right.
I don't care. Because what you're telling me is you don't even believe in your kid, yourself, or none of that. Like, you don't even love your kid enough to keep them in this situation.
Yeah.
Period.
We ain't maximizing it.
And they'll come back, though. When they see it ain't green on the other side, they're going to come right back, and they're going to reach that standard and stay there. And if they miss it, we're going to make sure we get them there, and then once they get there, we're going to maintain it.
Because that's the true investment.
Right. Listen, when they came and asked me to coach at UPrep, I said, I'm not coaching football if I'm not in the school. I told him that. I told the principal, I said, I'm not coaching football if I can't be in the school doing some life skills education, doing some mentoring, because first of all, I told him, and his son played for me, he know, I'm not even talking football with y'all right now. When I'm coming in there to establish who I am, you know what I mean? I'm not just a football coach where y'all gonna come in here and say, Coach, draw up some X's and O's, make me run gassers and do all that stuff. We're gonna get to that in a minute. Y'all ain't even getting to football at first when y'all first meet me, because I'm trying to see where your mindset is. Like you said, I'm talking to each individual kid, and then I'm talking to the team as a collective and saying, this is who I am, this is what I expect. I can teach you football. I did it. I did it at the highest level. I can teach you that, but I have to teach you some of these things that are off the field that is going to equate to what happens on the field. You know what I'm saying? And his son can attest to this. And guess what? I wasn't the favorite coach, even though, you know, but by the end of it, they was like, damn, I see what Coach Lowe was trying to do for me. You understand? Because when they get to be that junior, senior, and you know, I butt ahead with a lot of coaches because I don't care about putting 60 points on the board. I don't care about putting 500 yards or having the leader and the whippeal on my squad. I ain't worried about that. You know what I mean? I'm worried about winning. Of course, I want to instill that into them, but that's going to come if you just do the things that I'm going to teach you or the things that I'm going to show you, and then I got to lead by example. I can't, you know, it's just like the people who say, you know, you can be friends with your children. You know what I mean? To me, okay, there has to be a role and a respect, and they got to see me as an authoritative figure, you know what I'm saying? And his son can attest to this. And guess what? I wasn't the favorite coach, even though, you know, but by the end of it, they was like, damn, I see what Coach Lowe was trying to do for me. You understand? Because when they get to be that junior, senior, and you know, I butt ahead with a lot of coaches because I don't care about putting 60 points on the board. I don't care about putting 500 yards or having the leader and the whippeal on my squad. I ain't worried about that. You know what I mean? I'm worried about winning. Of course, I want to instill that into them, but that's going to come if you just do the things that I'm going to teach you or the things that I'm going to show you, and then I got to lead by example. I can't, you know, it's just like the people who say, you know, you can be friends with your children. You know what I mean? To me, okay, there has to be a role and a respect, and they got to see me as an authoritative figure. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to give you respect as we, you know, develop that relationship, but you got to understand something. I'm here to teach you something. I'm here to teach you something, and that's not to demean nobody or anything. I just experienced it, and I acquired wisdom and knowledge from somebody else who taught me something, so I'm passing that on to you. And guess what? That's what my responsibility is as a coach. You know what I'm saying? If you know the sport, you're going to give them all that. I mean, that's going to come. But you got to establish who you are as a coach, and that's how you present it. And you can look at that through the ranks of the great coaches. The great coaches are going to teach you way more stuff off the field of play than they are on the field of play. I guarantee you. If you talk about basketball right now, you talk about the Phil Jacksons and all, they talk about his philosophies of life and how that stuff just doesn't happen. You give them stuff that happens off the field of play, and then you start incorporating that stuff. While they don't even know that you're incorporating it. I'm incorporating math and literature and English into my playbook. You know what I'm saying? You got terminology, you learn how to call plays, and there's opportunities to put English in that. Then you give them some history lessons about the game. You know what I'm saying? You make them study in different parts of their, you know, use different parts of their mind, and it's going to show on that field of play. And guess what? We might not win the championship every year, but when you leave after playing for Coach Lowe, you're going to say, man, I learned some valuable lessons that's going to help me in life. And it's going to equate to come on the field, because I did the same thing. And I played at the highest level, and I still missed some opportunities because I wasn't listening. When I first got drafted, my boy played in the league try to give me some financial literacy. I'm like, what are you talking to me about this for, man? I'm trying to make the squad and do this and go out as a rookie and do my thing. 7 years later, when he told me to invest my signing bonus and what I could have did as far as my free agency and moving around, I'm like, damn, I missed that, bro. That would have helped me on the field. It would have helped my decisions. So that's my philosophy, you know what I'm saying, and how I go about doing that. And I utilize those opportunities to coach, you know what I'm saying, to get into those situations to be able to teach on a whole different level.
Building that character off the field automatically is going to equate to them being a better player on the field. So the mental issues that they might have on the field, getting all of that, they're going to use the information you gave them about life, and that's going to help them get over any barriers they have on the field.
Or, you know, I'm like, bro, sometimes we got to, the battle is won off the field of play.
Absolutely.
And just, you know, just a spotlight on the youth coach, I just believe that if your goal isn't to prepare them for high school, I don't care what, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way, all the middle, all the youth league, all the youth level kids. If you're not preparing them guys to play in high school, meaning you're not checking on them at school, you're not checking on them at home. This is the job of a coach. If you're not doing it, you need to do it. Because what you require from the kid on the field, you need to require the same type of respect off the field, the same type of efforts in the classroom. And I just fear that there's a lot of guys who don't care about that part. And my thing is, for y'all, there's too many kids in the balance for y'all to be playing like this is a video game. Use your influence to influence the kids in a way where that they're going to have a longer life, that they're going to be able to accept opportunities. Yeah, I had hundreds of kids play for me that had star potential, but it fizzled out by the time they was 14. You know what I mean? If you're not eligible with all those stats and all those posters and all those cleats and all those Super Bowl championships and all those medals and all this and that, and if you don't have the grades, if you don't have the work ethic, if you don't have the mentality and the mindset, because it only gets tougher, if you don't have that, you're not going to make it. And that's no shot, that's no hate, that's just reality. It is what it is. And so, you know, we have to use these positions, and a lot of our guys, young black coaches, you know, we got to start doing the off the field things that, you know, reflect to the kids. I mean, listen, you on social media going crazy, like, but why you got the kids as your friends? It don't make sense. You know what I mean? You can't tell them don't do this, that, and the third, but then you promoting this, that, and the third. It don't make sense. So there has to be, and see, this is why there has to be that boundary. You know, there has to be a boundary, because otherwise, oh yeah, coach is doing it.
Right.
After hours, it must be okay.
Right.
You know, and so we can't give out a mixed bag to these kids because they'll play in it. You know what I mean? And then they'll justify it with what you gave them. And so it would ultimately be, as a leader, your fault for showing them, like, yo, this is okay, with no understanding, with no filter, with, you know what I mean? And this is why, you know, there has to be that boundary. Unfriend them, or not unfriend them, but have a separation, right? There has to be that compromise. I mean, but you can't show them everything, especially when they ain't ready.
But I mean, if you accept the coaching position, it comes with a responsibility.
Absolutely.
That's just like if you had a job, you know what I'm saying? It comes with responsibility. If you in the government, you ain't gonna be talking about, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta treat it as such, man. And I just think some people just take the coaching opportunities because they like, I'm nice in this sport, you know what I mean? I can do this. I mean,
And that goes to what I was about to say. If you're not ready for it, don't take the position, dog. Don't just take it because you want to coach.
Right.
Don't just take it because, like you said, I was good.
You got a reputation.
You're being disrespectful by taking it knowing, all right, I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be dealing with these players' moms. I'm going to be coming to the game smelling like this. I'm going to be functioning this way. Or if you ain't ready to be like, all right, whatever I do behind closed doors is really behind closed doors. Right. Don't do because you're the first one that get these young dudes for real. Then by the time they get to high school, this dude's work ethic is horrible. And I want to help him, but he got 3 years with me. You know what I'm saying? So now we trying to instill a work ethic, but not just a work ethic. You got to convince them it's important to have a work ethic now. So you're trying to do that and trying to make sure he's good off the field personally and on the field. And he's been in a situation where, think about, you said 14. I know so many kids that was good in midget league. When they got to high school, they didn't quit because they weren't good enough. They just didn't want to do. They couldn't handle the work.
Right. Exactly.
I'm quitting football. If I got to worry about it, all right. And that's a reflection of your coaching, dog.
And then they turn to, I was popular in the neighborhood, so now they think they a dope boy. Stop it. Stop. Hey, you a running back. You ain't you ain't no dope boy, right? But those type of that type of spotlight on you, especially in the neighborhood. You going around and everybody know you man, and you this that but bro, what's up?
The good thing about me when I was coming up is that I had some old OGs who they was like, yeah, you popular, but you ain't gonna be out here doing this. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We see that potential in you. Because I was in McKeesport hanging in front of the Vapors trying to chill with, and they was like, nah. You know what I mean? Because it could have easily went that way. You know what I'm saying? But I had some people there, and that's what those people who we talked about who might take them coaching jobs, you might need to be that person who just steers them away from it. You know what I mean? And you can be an affiliate of that coach and then come on and see when you're ready for it. You know what I mean? Some people just got to admit, like, look, I ain't ready to do that right now. I can't give what I'm offering to you just yet, but I can give you this other game off the field to let you know. You know what I mean? But that, again, that's about a man recognizing their limitations, being humble enough to admit it, and preparing yourself for that position. Prepare yourself for that position. You know, and there's a lot of people can't do that. You know, we had to give it to me now, society and culture. You know,
nobody like the process.
Yeah, nobody.
Because that's where you made it.
Yeah.
Like my son was talking about championships, and he's like, man, every time I win a championship, it's like, I don't feel nothing. And I'm just like, well, because the championship is won, like, before the championship is won, right? It's the process. It's all them days of practices, all those Saturday morning workouts, all the hill runs through East Hills, all that stuff. That's what a champion is. It's a collective of everything you just done, right? And then now you at the top of the hill, now you get to look back at all the work you put in, all the bodies we done laid out, right? And you get to say, I'm number one.
Reflection time is the most gratifying reward of all the hard work that you put in.
But we gotta teach how to keep, because he was just like, I don't feel nothing. But now it's like, okay, you made it to another level. You're on the bottom of the next level. Right. So that means everything you just went through, you gotta take it with you. Right. Don't forget it.
Yeah, because you know
remember
to get there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Exactly. You got to remember the journey, because now when you fighting for it again, and the homie ain't never been there. He never been to the mountaintop. He never looked back and saw all the victories, right? So now how do you motivate him to ride with you? Like, yo, we gonna get this.
Yeah. The greatest motivation is your testimony. Yeah. If you just had an easy way to the top and you ain't never did nothing, you ain't put in no work, when you get there, what you gonna say? I ain't do nothing to get here. You ain't got no story to tell. Right. You got to go through some adversity. You know what I'm saying? You got to has some hard work and something put into it. You know what I mean? You make some ingredients and you make a fine dish and you just say, well, I threw a whole bunch of stuff in the pot and it came out like this. And you're like, well, what's in it? You know what I mean? How did you make that gumbo? What secret little ingredients did you put in there? That's what makes it enticing. That's what makes it good.
Absolutely. And there's so many lessons that coaches can teach from that position, man. So I'm just encouraging y'all to take it serious. You know what I mean? If you don't got kids, you got to treat this job like you're a father. You know, when I coach, that's the position I stand on. I coach as, like, you get the love of a father. You know what I'm saying? And you get the lessons of a coach.
And don't take being more professional personally, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, be professional, dog. Like, what we gotta understand is the connection part of it, you already automatically have. You probably from the neighborhood, you know the kids, you know the, so that part you ain't even gotta fake, and that ain't gotta be your whole thing, dog. Now work on your professionalism, bro. So now as you're working on your professionalism, all the money you want to get for uniforms is going to come to you because other people are going to see your league is functioning a certain way with a certain level of professionalism, and people are going to want to come and give you money. When you're reaching out for money, people are going to feel comfortable with it because they know how the league is held to a certain standard and things of that nature. So it's like, I feel like sometimes we just take constructive criticism and the need to be more professional personally and shy away from it and get an attitude. Why do you want the league to function that way, bro? Like, we're like, what's wrong with you that you want the league to? Because you stuck in yourself and you scared to grow. As a coach, if you're afraid to grow, you don't need to coach, my G, because all you're doing is hindering the growth of the young bucks that's right up underneath you, cuz. So be professional, dog. And it's like, I've talked to coaches about this. I've seen the Major League team, dog. If I seen this coach talk to my son like that, we'd have had a whole problem. And you didn't even explain to him what he did wrong, because of your lack of ability to communicate and to recognize that, dog. And these parents is allowing this? You crazy. And I don't even respect you as a coach now, because at this point, all I heard you do was go off on him. You didn't tell him what he did wrong. You didn't tell him how you didn't bring him back and like it's all good. We're going boom, 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 boom. None of that. It's just like, yo. And y'all want to be high school coaches. You want to be respected, your sports acumen to be respected. Well, I can't even respect the way you function on the sideline or interact with these kids. So don't take being more professional personally as it's a sellout. No, the connectivity part we naturally have, bro. Be more professional, and that's going to bring more opportunities to our kids and ultimately help our kids when we talk about code switching and things of that nature, when they got to be around other people that's not as ignorant as the people that they around on a regular basis, bro. It's just be more professional, because I would like to see our leagues function a little bit at a higher level and honestly have an opportunity where we can get more coaches on a high school level too. You know, what hinders us is just the lack of professionalism at the end of the day, you know, and we got all the ability to relate with the kids. So,
and I just believe, just to end that part of our conversation, that we got to start maximizing those opportunities from the youth level on up, because from the youth level, that's where they get the foundation, that's where they get their expectation, and also that's where coaches can also get the same thing if they take it serious, right? And this thing got to be serious. You just can't be hiring the homies because he's your homie. If he ain't good for the kids, he can't come. He got to get a ticket and sit in the stands like everybody else. He can't lead the kids. So I'm just encouraging all my guys out there to you know, make sure you surrounding the kids with the right people. And if you one of the right guys who is fortunate enough to work with the kids, you know, never stop learning, never stop trying to develop, because that's what it's about. You know, that's what life is about, learning. You know, my aunt was 101, and that's what she told me. Just keep learning, baby. Yep. And so that's what we're going to do. Shout out to Aunt Willa. This part of our conversation is called Agree or Disagree. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill out a few statements that I snatched off of the social media, a few conversations I had over the last few days. And you're simply just going to tell me whether you agree or disagree. Now, if all three of you disagree, I'll get one of you guys to kind of give me your perspective. If if it's 2-on-1, I'll get the perspective from the other. And so we'll begin like this. So, Number 1, fathers hold the key to unifying families. Agree or disagree?
Oh, you want to start?
I just say agree.
I agree.
You agree?
Disagree.
You disagree. You disagree that fathers hold the key to unifying families. Why? Why do you disagree with that?
Because to be in agreement, I feel like you have to have two sources to do that. You know what I'm saying? And I think that although we may hold the key to create that child, we still have to have an agreement with the mother of that child. So y'all both have the keys to be able to do that. It's like automatically saying just because you had a child, I'm the key to how, you know what I'm saying, how that's going to look and how that's going to all come together. You're an important part of the piece. You're an important part, a significant part of the puzzle, but you're not 100% the key.
So, can a car run without an engine?
No.
Okay. All right, we're going to go to number 2. Fatherless children are at a disadvantage across the board. Fatherless children are at a disadvantage across the board. Agree or disagree?
Oh, you gotta look at me first. So like,
Yeah, we're going to go left to right.
all right. So, I mean, if you're looking at the statistical aspect, if you're looking at stats, are you looking at my?
Agree or disagree? Agree or disagree, and then, yeah.
I mean, so
What do you
it's in
Agree
between.
or disagree?
It's in between. I think yes. But
Fatherless children are at a disadvantage
words.
across the board.
So across the board is what gets you, and also so it's two things.
You gotta come breaking this
So
down.
I'll say agree. I'll say agree for right now, but definitely get back to it.
I'll say disagree for probably why you were saying
Yeah.
you shouldn't have any issues, but I'll say disagree.
I say agree.
You agree? You agree? Fatherless children are at a disadvantage across the board.
I see. That's why I said there's a disclosure. No, I did say there was a disclosure. The reason why is because when you say first of all, when you say fatherless children, yes, a father is supposed to be within the home. However, when you look at what they mean by quote unquote fatherless, and then also if there's a father figure that is linked to that child, then no,
Then he's
not
not
at a
fatherless.
disadvantage. So, but they're not considered technically the father. You know what I mean? So they're considered like there's a man figure, but they're not they might not be that father of that child. So looking at that aspect, and also looking at across the board, there are disadvantages to in some aspects, but not all. But I'm gonna stick with my agree. All right, I'm gonna go with it. Go
You
ahead.
confused me on that. Number 3, fathers in the homes guarantee a solid outcome for our children.
Disagree.
Yeah, disagree.
Disagree?
Absolutely.
You want to weigh in on that real quick on your perspective on that?
We've just seen, we go off of history. History shows that 2 parents could be in a household and a child turns out not ideal for what the parent thought their children was going to turn out like. So that's just history. Just because you got 2 parents doesn't mean it's a healthy culture within the household. Just because you got 2 parents don't mean they're actively parenting. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, so, and they both can be active,
Right.
and you still end up with a child that wasn't ideal. So who knows what the variable is.
Say no guarantees.
None.
You just got to hope and pray. So, number 4, is it okay for dad to have several girlfriends and not okay for mom?
As a single man and woman, is what you're saying?
Yeah,
All right.
they're not together,
No.
obviously.
Are they bringing these people around?
Hold up.
You know what I mean?
Hold up.
If they're bringing a child,
Listen.
Like you gotta put some disclosures in. Like,
No,
if
listen. I need you
this,
to listen. Is it okay for dad to have several girlfriends and not okay for mom? So let's say dad has several girlfriends, right? They're not, the mom and dad aren't together. They share custody. They share time with the child.
Is it
right?
50-50 split?
Don't know. Don't even matter. But
That really would make the question right there because the mom.
But how does that matter?
Because let's look at it like this: majority of the time, the mother has primary custody of the child, right? So she's dealing with a lot of men.
let's say 50-50.
All right,
We'll go 50-50.
I would have to say,
Agree or disagree?
I disagree.
So you're saying it's okay?
It's not okay.
It's not okay. So
Not
yeah, I
okay.
don't think it's okay either. Like for dad to have multiple girlfriends, nah, it isn't cool.
What you got? What
I
you say?
disagree.
He said, we're gonna leave that one alone.
You know, look, talk to y'all afterwards, bro.
The uncut.
Number 5. The role reversals in the family produces lower expectations in our boys and dominance in our young girls. Agree or disagree?
I agree.
The role reversals in the family produces lower expectations in our boys and dominance in our young girls.
I agree.
Agree or disagree?
I agree.
You agree?
I agree.
What about you, Thomas?
We live in a politically correct society.
Look at
So that's why you
Get that Get that paycheck.
I'll disagree with that one, man.
You'll disagree with it? The role reversals in the family produces lower expectations in our boys. And so the question came about because we had this conversation about weak men,
Right.
And it's been a conversation for the past couple of weeks, and so I'm just weighing in on it, right? Because I'm sick of it. There are some valid points in the argument, but to blanket the statement that black men are weak, that's not even close to being true. But the word is that, since there isn't a lot of fathers in the home, moms are raising the men, and these men are easily led. They have limited leadership, but on the other hand, the mothers are raising the daughters to be the bosses.
So look, I'll use this real quick. Me and my girl used to get into it about this person all the time. She watched the Kardashians. They brother Rob Kardashian. When you said this, it just made me, he irks me. Now, don't get me wrong, like, he got mental health issues supposedly because of weight and stuff like that. But their family is a specific example of what you just said. It's female, woman dominated when it comes to success. And this dude sits in his house depressed all day when his sisters and moms are out here eating and getting this. And it's like, and you complaining about depression and all this stuff? So me and my girl get into it because I'm like, I don't have no sympathy for this dude. Like, when do you turn this stuff off, dog? Like, he got nothing but opportunity around him and you talking about, but I think that's a situation where you use that as a crutch and become comfortable with the women supporting you and all that, and they dominate, they telling you when to eat, where to live, and what you're doing. And to me, that was just like, when you said that was like a prime example of that, I'm like, this is crazy.
Right.
This is crazy.
To even go on to that, so much of the role reversal was so dominant by the female that the husband, who was a sports figure, turned himself into a woman. You know what I'm saying? So you mean to tell me when we talk about that role reversal, that ain't gonna mess with the kids?
Man, like,
come on now.
That's deep, bro.
You know what I mean? Come on now. And listen,
So it's real. We agree, it's real.
yeah.
I mean, it has to be to an extent. I'm not saying it has to go to the extent to which we talked about every time.
Right.
But absolutely, to an extent, because you don't know what it means to quote unquote be a man now, right? So you see your mom dominating and doing what she needs to do to support you guys and things of that nature as a strong woman. But what do you know what it means to be a man or a strong male, though?
So, but just think about that. Just think if it was reversed. You know what I'm saying? Like, the woman led your household for your son and how he's going to come up with. Now he's going to have a majority of feminist ways. You know what I'm saying? Is that, y'all going to be cool with that? I mean, and I'm not trying to, listen, I'm not, feminist, y'all, but I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, as a man, you're gonna be able to give your son certain things, you know what I mean? You ain't gonna be able to give your daughter certain things that a female or a woman is gonna be able to give her or give him.
That's why the presence is critical.
Yeah.
Your presence is critical. Your son watching mom, get dressed, and a kid, because they so connected, you never know how that affects them.
And you're gonna deal with that with both of them in the house. Sometimes my son still I got a skirt. No, you don't. That's, you know what I mean? Boom. But it's just him learning, and I'm there to be there to learn things. Like,
no doubt.
No doubt. Yeah, so imagine once you take the mail out, there's no one there to explain to him, like, no, that's normally what women wear.
He said he was doing, watching his mom put on heels.
There you go.
Bro. Number 7, agree or disagree? Civilized communication can solve a lot of misunderstandings and arguments between parents.
I agree. Totally. 100%.
Testify.
Yep.
Agree.
And when we say civilized, we meaning you taking accountability for your actions and zeroing in on your actions and taking accountability for your actions while you're trying to work on whatever you're trying to work on.
Yeah, and then also come from a solution-based area too. Like a lot of we want to just give out, just like come from a solution-based. Don't come on like, oh yeah, you did this. How we gonna solve this problem together?
Meet us halfway.
Right.
Yep.
That's where we are.
And even just the changing of a word, because it might be received a different way than the way you put it out. But you didn't talk about that, so now it leads to a bigger issue. And that's happened to me where I've said something one way just by putting one word.
But you recognize it.
You know what I'm saying?
And you snatch that thing back. Right.
When we talk about changing the words, baby mom, baby dad, hate that. Look, child's mother, child's father. Change that dialogue, change that outlook, because that changes a whole lot too, man. That puts a whole nother status on that person. Baby's mom, baby's dad, and they 15. Like, it's a wrap. Like, nah, they ain't no baby. So, child's mom, child's dad. Please change that terminology.
Agree or disagree? Number 8, systematic racism is real and it negatively affects black people the most.
I would have to definitely agree.
I agree.
I wish Dante was here.
Yeah, he would have some pop up, but
Tay might have quicked over to our side last time he was here, man.
I would agree with that as well. I mean, I just think the systems are they're so obvious. And if you don't see it, then you don't want to see it.
Well, your presidents, your senators have admitted it verbally now. Once they did that, there is no taking it back. All y'all know is there.
Put that in the history books when you're teaching the kids, because the stuff that's in it now, it still ain't it. Right. You feel me? Number 9, when kids and teens kill each other, it's the father's fault.
I disagree.
No, I disagree.
It could be a factor, but it's not purely their fault, though.
I think it's a communal aspect, you know what I mean? It's a community, ultimately the raising the children, so I think the community has failed, not the father himself. So true.
So I just think when I saw that it just speaks to the importance of our role and the importance of our responsibility, regardless if we're with mom or not, and regardless if our relationship ain't cool or not. If there's a way that I can have this relationship, you can have this relationship, and she be okay with it, you gotta make that happen, right? I just think that statement maybe, came from somebody that was hurt, and at the same time, saw the importance, like, well, wow, maybe, his dad could have, been that deciding factor.
Statistically, stats will say that people who don't have a father around are more likely to commit a violent crime. Mm-hmm. But what we got to do is take into context what cultural environment did these individuals grow up in. So if they grew up in a good neighborhood, a socioeconomic situation, everybody making 6 figures on up, I'm pretty sure the likelihood of them committing a murder with their dad not being there is pretty low. But when you take that same kid and place them in a situation where the median income in their neighborhood is $13,000 a year or whatever the case may be, and you remove the father, what's going to be found in that neighborhood? Robbing, thieving, killing. So that's the culture of which they grow up in, and they are easily more exposed to it because the father is not there. So it really, to me, depends on where they're growing up at culturally, and like you said, it's communal, deal with the community, that's their culture, you know what I'm saying? So I would definitely agree with that, though. But it's not all on the father.
No, it's not all on
So last one, number 10. So removing the elders from the communities is like removing history from the future, from the present.
True.
Agree or disagree?
I agree.
Agree.
Totally agree.
Yep.
Why are elders important?
I mean, listen, I tell you to this day, if it wasn't for my elder next door neighbor, I wouldn't be here. Miss McBride held it down for when my mother wasn't around. I respected her, I feared her, I loved their family. They were able to pass on knowledge and wisdom to me to help me realize that traditions were important. You know what I mean? You get so much from them. You get so much from them, and the respect level that I had for elders was even more elevated than it was for my parents. You know what I mean? And when you remove them, you just don't get that. You don't get that extra. You don't get that extra incentive to just do right or even fear. You know what I'm saying? It was like I don't want to let them down. You know what I mean? Even more so than when my grandma come up to me, hey baby, I'm so proud of you. You know what I mean? That hit something. That hit different.
I like what you said, extra incentive.
No doubt.
And I think the knowledge aspect too. A lot of the elders, they hold that knowledge, right? And I talked about this a few shows ago. It's like passing down that knowledge to each generation is very important because that breeds the next generation of leaders, as you talked about, and just that confidence, right? Like all the elders around bring that majority of elders bring that knowledge. Some don't, but the majority of elders bring that knowledge. So it's like, how do you pass down that knowledge if you don't have that elder base there? So.
And it gives us that, you're able to see something that they've overcome. You know what I mean? Like our grandparents, parents, and grandparents, you know what I mean, have lines from slavery. And you're like, when you talk to a kid now, it's like we got so many things going on against us, and we like, yo, for real, yo. You know what I mean? We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the survival of our great-great-grandparents, you know what I'm saying? And all that they had to go through. And you talking about your Xbox is broke, you know what I mean? And you having a meltdown. Like, so, that I think we're moving though, man. And that's why me and my wife was talking about this. It's instrumental that my younger kids have a relationship with their grandparents. If they have a great grandparent alive, you're going to spend some time with them because they're going to be able to give you something extra that I may not be able to give you. You know what I mean? And I think that like I was talking about that respect level, they'll have that for them. So it's instrumental to have that relationship now with the elders.
And so the insight that we get from elders, the wisdom that we get from elders, please don't overlook this thing. If you got grandparents, if you got great aunts, great aunts, make sure you go check in on them. Make sure that you are, talking to them, trying to get as much wisdom out of life as you can, because at the end of the day, our elders pass down the lessons that's going to keep us alive, honestly, right? And so, that's one of my biggest things I want to leave this show with is that if you got older parents, if you got elders in your circle, make sure you show them that respect. If you haven't seen your elders in a while, check up on them. Shout out to my pops. He was my elder, and he was also my father. And also shout out to Brother Mel, my guy. He's definitely my elder, and he was one of my mentors when I first started doing the fatherhood piece. So I was 19 years old, you know what I mean, and he looked out for me, and we've been close ever since. So shout out to Brother Mel. This is We Talking Fatherhood. We'll see y'all next week.
We making moves. Ooh, yeah. You see a bus and he move. Right. We got a whole lot to gain and we ain't got nothing to lose. Nah. Yeah. We done all took losses. Now we just get W.
What up, y'all? It's your boy Warren West, Coach Warren, aka Mr. Fatherhood. We Talking Fatherhood. This is the We Talking Fatherhood survey video. Listen, if you got something you want us to talk about, fatherhood is close to your heart. What I need y'all to do is, if y'all want to be a part of the show, if you want to be a part of our video segment, shoot me about a 10, 15 second video. Ask your questions, give your concerns, and me and my crew will tackle the topic. I want to hear from the people. And we'll do our due diligence to bring you some good information. So drop the 15-second video, ask your questions, give your concerns, and then we'll weigh in on it. Drop it to me at warrenwest412@gmail.com. We talking fatherhood, man. You feel me?
Yeah, we come in the name of the Father, so it ain't no way we can lose. Ooh, yeah. You see a bus and he move. You see it? We got a whole lot to gain and we ain't got nothing to lose. Yeah, we done all took losses. Now we just get W. Yeah, we come in the name of the Father, so it ain't no way we can lose.